सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। हरि ओम हरि ओम हरि ओम हरि ओम। हे भगवान। So we are doing this particular line. We have seen drishyate cha atmana eva sudaha dehadi sanghate anatmani atmatva abhiniveshaha mithya buddhi matrena purvena. Up to that we have seen. So the mithya buddhi matrena purvena, it means, the self-misconceptions have their own sequence. One misconception leading to another misconception, you see. One misconception, that is called, nimitta naimittika bhava. Nimitta naimittika bhava means one misconception leading to another misconception. These misconceptions are fundamentally fivefold. Even though misconceptions, the chain of misconceptions can be endless. Really. Any misconception, until you handle the misconception, the fundamental misconception, until it is handled, it will go on as it snowballing, as it were. It goes on and on and on. So this sequence of misconceptions is what we call mithya jnana matrena purvena. That purvena should be understood as purvena, purvena, twice. It's like, in English we have each following one, presupposes something preceding. The following involves something. The following misconception has some other misconception behind it. Every following misconception has a preceding misconception. Meaning every result has a reason. This whole thing, the principle that is there is that every result has a reason. And result itself becomes a reason for another result. That result becomes a reason for another result. This is what is called snowballing effect. So-called snowballing, when we say that's it. That is snowballing. That's called purvena in Sanskrit. That's called purvena. Therefore, sometimes what happens is we treat the result but don't treat the reason, because we don't even know the reason. One doesn't know the reason because one doesn't make an effort to know the reason. It's not that it's not available to know the reason. It's not that the reason cannot be known. The reason can be known, provided I look for it. I should be able to know the reason. So if I go on treating the symptoms, I can never be free from the sickness. A very simple common sense. And that is, here Bhagavan says, Dehoham. This is a misconception. It also presupposes, it implies another misconception that I am anatomical. This is one misconception. I have no existence beyond being anatomical. When the anatomy is destroyed, I am gone. When the anatomy is gone, I am gone. Then this implies I am a breather, meaning I have a physiological. I am existent as long as I am breathing. You see, I am there as long as I am breathing. That means I equate my existence with breathing. You see, I equate my existence with anatomy. I equate my existence with breathing. This is what we call prana. This is called deha, annamaya kosha. I am anatomically is annamaya kosha. I am a breather, that is called pranamaya kosha. And I don't exist except as a seer. So when I am seeing something, hearing something, tasting, touching, smelling, remembering something, and there is some thought, I am there. That means I equate my existence with sense perception. This equating one's existence with sense perception is called manomaya kosha. This is manomaya kosha. And vijnanamaya kosha. So I should be thinking, I should be able to think. Should be able to remember and think. So when I am not thinking, I am not there. This is called equating one's existence with thinking. This is called Vijnanamaya Kosha. This is called Vijnanamaya Kosha. Similarly, the last is Anandamaya Kosha. I should be searching for happiness. When I am searching for happiness, then I am there. You see? That means I equate my existence with the search. So this equating one's existence with the search is called Anandamaya Kosha. Equating one's existence with the thinking is called I am a thinker, Vijnanamaya Kosha. Equating one's existence with simple sense perception is called Manomaya Kosha. Equating one's existence with breathing, that is called Pranamaya Kosha. Equating one's existence with anatomy is called Annamaya Kosha. These are the 5 misconceptions about oneself. They are indeed misconceptions because when we look at them closely, when we look at ourselves closely, our existence is independent of them. Because we are the observer of anatomy. The one who is aware of anatomy cannot be synonymous with anatomy, you see. That's a very big common sense. You have to account for this reason. The observer of something cannot be that something. however much you may feel it, you see. It's like saying, however much it may look blue, the sky may look blue. Absolutely dripping with blueness. However real it looks blue, you know it is not blue. Sky is not blue. It's only a perception. Sky is not blue. However much, supposing you have some dust has gone into one's eyes, and then he looks at the moon. Because of the problem in the sight, he sees, even when you press the eyeball, he sees one moon as two moons. So the second moon, however real it may look, looking real doesn't prove reality. looking real doesn't prove reality. You see, the second moon may look very real, but it's not real. You put some stick in the water, 10-inch, 20-inch stick you put in water, it looks only shorter, 10-inch. You know it, my God, it looks so short. You know it, but it is not that. It is a perception. It's a perception. Thus, even though we look to be nothing but anatomy, we seem to be, I am nothing but this form, I am nothing but a breather, I am nothing but that breathing, I am nothing but just perception, I am nothing but thought, I am nothing but go. Search for here, search for something. So when I am going, I feel I am there. When I am not going in the world, I am not really searching, then I feel, then there is no life, I am not there. Therefore, even though it looks like that, even though we look like that, but just because we look the form, look to be synonymous with breath, merely synonymous with perception, thought and search, that itself doesn't clinch the truth. That itself doesn't clinch the fact that I am only, doesn't prove that we are only that. I mean, that's being really gullible. That's being really naive. Therefore, naivety is universal, understand. It's not that only some are naive. Every individual is born naive, grows naive, and dies naive. Naive is a soft word, uncommunicative term. But the most communicative term is everyone is born stupid, grows stupid, and dies stupid. Why? No stupidity can be greater than taking oneself as one looks. When I take things as they look, loss is not that enormous. But when I take myself to be as I look, the loss is enormous. An error about an object doesn't cause me that big a loss. An error about, a misconception about an object doesn't cause me that big a loss. But the misconception about oneself, it causes unlimited loss. Because here the misconception is the unlimited, the eternal being is equated with the form. The non-form is equated with the form, you see. No ordinary thing. No ordinary thing. Therefore, there cannot be an endless suffering An endless suffering is not possible through a misconception about an object. When I leave the object, I leave the misconception also. I may mistake sand for water. I go to Rajasthan. I see sand. It happens to be sand. From a distance I see water. Sometimes mirage. You see. But I can't suffer forever through that perception. When I leave Rajasthan, I leave the misconceptions also. When I leave America, I leave the misconceptions also. When I leave the person, I give divorce to my wife. I give divorce to all the misconceptions about her. I don't think about it. It's gone. But the misconceptions about oneself, I can't leave. They're always with me. Because I can't abandon myself. I can't break with my existence. Therefore, self-error causes unending sorrow. And that unending sorrow is what is called samsara. Self-error born unending struggle. This is a self-error. It means I just take myself to be what I look. And when I use logic, then a great truth surfaces that the one who is aware of anatomy cannot be anatomy. Nobody can. You have to first cross this particular step in the inquiry. Can the observer be synonymous with the observed? Or is he independent of the observed? Is he a part of the observed? Is he synonymous with the observed? Is he independent of the observed? What is the status of the one who is aware, the one who is conscious? Can the observing nature of the observer, can it go? Can it go? Do we ever cease to observe? Because the very definition of the observer is he can never cease to observe. If he can cease to observe, then the cessation of the observing nature also has to be observed. Otherwise, how does one know that it has ceased? How does one know? Therefore, the observing nature cannot control it. Capturing this is reflection. Seeing this point is reflection. You see? It's no ordinary thing. That means we are observing the waking, observing the dream, observing also even their negation. You see, when there is a form, when the sun rises, we say, I am observing the sun. And when the sun sets, then we say, I am not observing. This is how we think. When the sun rises, I am observing the sun. When the sun sets, we think we are not. No. When the sun rises, I am observing the sun. When the sun sets, I am observing the absence of the sun. We always observe the presence of an object or absence of an object. We are always observing either presence or absence, but never the absence of observing. When thought is, we see it. When there is no thought, we see that there is no thought. But there is no state when we don't see. You can't arrive at. You can't prove to yourself. You can't prove to yourself that there is a state in which my seeing nature comes to an end. And seeing nature is not merely with the eyes, because even when the blind man, when man loses eyes, it is his knowledge. When he shifts from waking to dream, it's his knowledge. Waking is our knowledge, dream is our knowledge, even deep sleep, where there is no waking, that is also knowledge. That's not absence of knowledge. That's also experience, not absence of experience. Absolute serenity, which goes by the name deep sleep, absolute serenity, is also knowledge. That means the observer never ceases to be observer. And observation, observing is not an action, is not an effort. Choicelessly. It's like anything that falls in the sunlight, choicelessly gets illumined. Choicelessly. When the thought is thought, you entertain a thought, it choicelessly gets known to you. That is called Sakshi. A thought is entertained. Try to entertain a thought, and yet not know it. Feel anger and yet not know it. Feel an emotion and yet not, let it not be known. In fact, a thought, as it is born, it gets illumined. An emotion gets illumined. Pleasure gets illumined. Pain gets illumined. That way the whole waking is illumined, is known. To be illumined means to be known. Dream is born, dream gets known. Choicelessly gets illumined. And the resolution also gets illumined. Like you see, when the dream is on, it is known to you. When you wake up, the dream is gone. What about that? It is known to us. Now the dream is gone. That means the resolution of the dream also gets illumined. When the dream is on, it gets illumined. When the dream gets resolved, it gets illumined. That means the illumining nature of the subject, the illumining nature of the subject has no negation. That is why we say the choiceless illuminer. Choiceless. Therefore, to be conscious is choiceless. We are conscious without choice. We are not conscious by choice. Because if it is there in our choice not to be conscious, then we should be able to use that choice and renounce consciousness. You can renounce thoughts. You can control thoughts, control emotions, control, memories. And even then one is still conscious of the fact that the entire mind has resolved. Thus we can't abandon our nature of being conscious. Even when the whole mind resolves, consciousness is not gone. Therefore, when a person falls unconscious, it is, even though we call it unconscious state, because we think thought alone is conscious. For us, when thought is, consciousness is. When thought is not, consciousness is not. This universal error, from that point of view, when a man faints, we say he has lost consciousness. But he has not lost consciousness, the thought has dissolved, memory has dissolved. In deep sleep also, thought has resolved, memory has resolved. Now when he gets back the thought, you ask him, hey, where were you? What did you feel? Says, did you feel any thought? No. So blackout. He says, this world was not there. I didn't see this world, I didn't feel this body, I didn't feel emotions, I didn't feel pain, I didn't feel pleasure, nothing. Total blackout. Alright, if it is total blackout, that blackout, is it your belief or is it your knowledge? You have to hear this. It's a very, very disarming question, understand. It is a disarming question in life. Is blackout is your belief or is your knowledge? Like when thought is, it is your knowledge that there is thought. When there is pain, it is not your belief, it is your knowledge. When there is pleasure, it's not your belief, it's your knowledge. And thoughts are, it is your knowledge. When the whole thought in its totality resolves, and then you look back, you recall that state where the thought had resolved. A man who recovers the mind after falling unconscious, he recalls the blackout. A man who goes into sushupti, a man who wakes up from deep sleep, he also recalls. So it's a blackout. It's a blackout. No pleasure, no pain. Blackout. That recalled blackout, is it a belief? Is it a believed blackout? Or known blackout? This question has to be answered. Answering this question and assimilating, understanding the answer to that question, asking this question and understanding the answer is moksha, liberation. Understand? It is liberation. Because we never think of the blackout. Before the birth, blackout. Before I was born, what is it? Blackout. Believed or known? It's a very, very known, not through thought. It is the blackout of thought. Blackout of thought is not experienced through another thought. Before birth, what is it? Blackout. After death, blackout. Sushupti, blackout. Murcha, blackout. And we always think in terms of the contrast between the life and the blackout. Don't we really? Why does man fear? What does man fear? What does man fear? What is fear of death? Blackout. It's a total blackout. Man fears death means man fears blackout, negation of everything. But that blackout we are contrasting in life. This is life, that is blackout. We are able to contrast between life and blackout because life is known, blackout also is known. Both fall in the realm of consciousness. Life falls in the realm of consciousness. Blackout also falls in the realm of consciousness. And that consciousness is neither anatomy, nor it is synonymous with prana, nor is it synonymous with mind, thought, nor is it synonymous with search, thinking, etc. You see, the consciousness in whose realm falls, the consciousness which illumines life and the blackout. That consciousness is what is our true identity, misconceived as anatomy, form, breath, thought, thinking, and such, etc. These 5 misconceptions are referred to here by the word Purvena. Purvena. I have given the gist of that word Purvena. Purvena. Meaning every misconception implying another misconception. This chain of misconceptions is called Purvena. Okay, this we are clear. We are through with this particular phrase. Now we go back to the topic that is under discussion. The topic is this Purvapakshi, otherwise called this Pradhanavadi, and it should not be difficult for you to understand. Try to make a little effort. We are dealing with a Purvapakshi. He is called Sankhya. He is also called Pradhanavadi. Meaning, Vadi means the one who argues in favor of. जो वाद करता है वो वादी. जिसके पास धन है वो धनी. वो तो जल्दी मालूम हो जाता है. जिसके पास धन है वो धनी. एंड जिसके पास सुख है सुखी. जिसके पास दुख है दुखी. इसके पास दंड है दंडी. दंडी संन्यास. दंडी संन्यास. सिमिलरली जो बोलता है, जो कहता है, the one who argues is called Vadi. Pradhanavadi, meaning the one who argues in favor of the unmanifest subtle matter as the material, the source of the world. There is no God. It's not that really some conscious being is the truth of the universe. Consciousness is not the truth of the universe. The universe is matter and its source also is matter. The matter that is the source is a subtle matter, whereas the universe is grossified, manifest matter. Thus, the truth of these 5 elements, this truth of this matter is nothing but matter which is subtle, and that subtle matter is what they call with the word Pradhanam. Pradhanam here, the word meaning is not primary like Gram Pradhan. It's not in that sense. Here Pradhanam means where everything is embedded. Pradhiyati asminniti pradhanam. Dha means to be put. Dha means to be put. Pradhanam means that source in which everything is rooted. That is called Pradhanam. That way water can be called Pradhanam. Water can be called Pradhanam for the way, according to the Sankhyavadi, Pradhanavadi. So Pradhanavadi, the Sankhya school, is a school. And this school we are entertaining here, we are honoring this particular school. We try to, explain away what this school thinks and then refute. Why? Because the way the school thinks, that particular way is universally adopted. Even the physicists always think in terms of matter as the source of another If this matter has come out, there must be another matter. They have no hypothesis which includes that could be, maybe this universe, this source, maybe this matter has sprung from awareness. Even at the level of the hypothesis, it doesn't exist in the mind of a physicist to understand. Because they always think matter must be the result of another matter. Even space is physical. Vedanta looks upon even space as matter. Even space is matter. Matter, when we use the word matter, we use it in contrast to the observer. What cannot observe is matter. The one who is aware observes is conscious. Space can't observe. The space can't observe. Space is not aware of itself. Space is not aware of itself. Air is not aware of itself. Fire and water and earth, these elements are not aware of themselves, nor are they aware of each other, one another. The sun, moon, stars, they are not aware of themselves, nor are they aware of one another. What is not aware is matter. That is Vedantic definition of matter. I think that definition holds, that definition sounds much better. You see, even space is matter. That is why tasmadva etasmad atmanaha akasha sambhutaha. Akasha is the first creation. Anything that is created is matter. Therefore, every person thinks behind the inert world, behind matter, there must be matter. Behind this world there is matter. Scientists think so. And some of our schools, Indian schools, spiritual Indian, old ancient schools like Sankhya also thinks that matter has come from matter. Because everybody thinks like this school, so we entertain this school, listen to them and refute them. To refute a person, you have to listen. Without listening, one has not earned the right to refute. You are wrong, you can't say unless you have listened to him through and through. Even before he begins, you say, "Ab galat hai." Not only it is a wrong approach. Not only it is a wrong approach to refute a man even before you listen to him. It is a wrong value. It's not about both. It's a wrong value. It's a wrong value. It is not moral. It's not moral to say you are wrong unless I have heard him. Therefore we hear him and refute him, and refuting him means make him see how he is wrong. If he refuses to see, that is his problem, but we give him the entire explanation which can help him see how he is wrong. In fact, when we refute a man, it should be useful for him. Understand? When you refute a person, it should be useful for him. Otherwise, if you refute a person, if you say you are wrong, and then it is not useful for him, and you haven't really explained to him nicely how he is wrong, if you haven't really helped him see how he is wrong, then it is not a refutation. It is snubbing. Understand? When you snub a man, it is of no use. Pratyakyanam in Shastra is very beautiful. Pratyakhyana means refutation. Refutation is not dismissive, being dismissed, just dismiss. Because that is of no use. You have to explain to him how he is wrong. Okay, this is what we are doing. And now Bhagavan says, Purvapaksha had said, Pradhanam Jagat Karanam. But Shastra says, the one who created the world, the source of the universe, saw and made the universe manifest. That means the source of the universe, he saw and created means the one who is the creator, the source, is not inert. He is the seer. Seer means conscious. Therefore, the source of the world can't be inert. And what is the pramana? The Shruti says he saw and created. He saw and created. Like I see the dream and created it. Therefore, the source of the dream can't be inert. So inside the dream state, I can look at the objects, and it is not difficult for me to be a Sankhyavadi there. It's not difficult for me to imagine, to speculate, well, this inert world must have come from another inert matter. What is difficult? What is difficult? The inert must have come from something, comes from something similar. Something cannot come from something totally dissimilar. And the examples are always given. The child of a goat is always a goat. Similars bring about similars. Similars don't bring about dissimilars. So if this matter has come about, it must have come about something similar. But if you really look at the dream properly, the source of the dream, I can't arrive at the source of the dream outside the one who is dreaming. Outside other than the one who is dreaming, the source of the dream cannot be found as something other than the one who is dreaming. And what is creating a dream? Seeing a dream is creating a dream. And we have to first of all establish, is seeing the world other than creation of the world? Or is it first created, then I see it? I see and then create it? Or seeing itself is creation? ये बहुत जरूरी है. I mean, I have to first fix here. Is seeing the dream the creation of the dream? Or is seeing the dream, does seeing the dream follow creation of the dream? Is there a sequence? First the dream is created, then I see it? Or is it that I first see the dream and then it is created? वो तो नहीं हो सकता. So the one thing is, maybe first it is created, then I see it. That should be refuted. In fact, we don't have the anubhava where seeing follows creation. We don't have an experience. Seeing follows creation is not felt. In fact, what we see alone, we call it creation anyway. Seeing is creation. Therefore, Bhagavan saw and created is nothing but his creation is in the form of perception, seeing. Seeing the unmanifest itself is creation. The unmanifest becomes seen. That becomes creation. It's like yesterday you saw somebody, you forgot him, and the thought of him is unmanifest. And then suddenly you see him in your memory. That's creation. The creation of that memory That very creation is perception. It's not that you first create the thought and see it. That remembering itself is creation. Not that you created him and then remembered him. No. I remembered him, that I saw him. I see him in my memory. I see him in my memory. Therefore, what is avyakritam becomes vyakritam, means what is not seen becomes seen. Seeing the unmanifest is called creation. Without going into all the unnecessary details, at least unnecessary for unless one goes into certain things, one doesn't require. But what needs to be clinched in life is, which is going to help in understanding, what needs to be clinched is that creation and perception are not, they don't have a sequence. All that is, I see the world. And this perception of the world, what I see the world, I call it creation. Therefore, now the Shruti says that Ikshata, God saw the world and created the world. God saw the world and created. That means seeing the world itself is creation. That means the one who created the world is the source of the world. Creation means here that seeing the world in himself. The unlimited sees the world. The unlimited cannot see outside the unlimited because there is no outside to the world. Therefore, God seeing a universe within himself, like a dream. You close your eyes and see the dream world where you don't see the dream outside. One doesn't see the dream outside oneself. One sees the dream within oneself, though he thinks it is other than him. But in actuality, he sees within himself. Therefore, the Shruti clearly points out the source of the world the source of the world, tell them, oh Rama, you tell them, the source of the world is not matter. Because matter in its entirety forms a part of the world. Wherever there is matter, it's a part of the universe. And the source of it cannot be matter. And the Shruti says, he saw and created. Therefore, the source is Chetanam. Therefore, if a person goes on digging into matter, he is not going to find the source of the world through his eyes. Because the source of what he sees is not another object, another matter. The source of the world is the seer of the world. The source of the dream is the seer of the dream. The source of the thought is the seer of the thought, is the very thinker of the thought, is the seer of the thought. To think a thought is also to see the thought. Therefore, who is the source of the thought? The seer of the thought. Supposing, you have anger and then you do mimamsa, you try to analyze what is the source of this anger. Where from is it coming? The anger is not coming from outside. Anger is coming from the very person who becomes angry. It's a subject. It is a thought of anger. Therefore, the source of anger is not outside. The very seer of anger, the source of anger. The very seer of emotion is the source of emotion. The very seer of the thought is the source of the thought. Seer of the dream. That way, the very observer, the very sakshi of the universe is the source of the universe. That sakshi is not anatomy, because he is sakshi of anatomy also. He is the Sakshi of the breath also, Sakshi of the senses also, Sakshi of the mind also, Sakshi of the search also, and Sakshi of the negation also. That Sakshi is the source of the word, not Pradhanam. And the Shruti says clearly that Ikshata is saw and created. And now, just next line let us read. Yadapi Uktam, now see. Yadapi Uktam, Purvapakshi, you said something. जो आपके द्वारा कहा गया था, that is the exact translation of यद्यपि उत्तम, जो आपके द्वारा कहा गया था. What you said? What did you say? प्रधानस्य अनेकात्मकत्वात् मृदादिवत् कारणत्व उपपत्तिः न असंहतस्य ब्रह्मणः इति. Up to that we take up. Matter is samhata. Samhata means, it can be assembled, it can be divided. Like this table, it can be assembled, it can be divided. Divisibility is the quality of matter. So if it is divisible, that means it can be assembled. That means it is an assemblage which can be divisible. It is an assemblage of particles and whatever are the qualities of matter, they are all divided. They are all assembled. Unless it is an assemblage, you can't divide. What is matter? Divisible. Either literally or conceptually. Space I can't literally divide. I can't cut space into pieces. But I can conceptually divide it. The space there, the space here, the space there. I can visualize space in terms of many points. This is also division. Space can be visualized. This point of space, that point of space, that point of space, that point of space. That means I am conceptually dividing space. It is not literally indivisible. It's not literally indivisible. It is nor literally divisible. It is conceptually divisible. I can think in terms of this part, that part of space. That's why people are able to buy and sell space. See, if they can't conceptualize, different parts of space, they can't. Which part of space are you selling me? And they say, this space is yours. But truth cannot be truth is not something that can be either literally divided or even conceptually divided. You can't think this part of the observer, that part of the observer. In fact, if you think in terms of parts, those parts, conceptualized parts, become observed by the observer. The observer stands the observer of the concepts. You think anything, you stand as, you are there as the observer of your own concepts. This part of the observer, that part of the observer, you are thinking anyway. You are thinking, imagining, and you stand as the observer of that imagination. Therefore, the observer cannot be either literally divided or conceptually divided. Not possible. Matter is divisible. Observer is indivisible. Try to divide yourself. You can think in terms of various limbs of the body, because it comes under the realm of matter. Body is observed matter. Definitely it is divisible. Body is divisible, senses are divisible, breath is divisible, thoughts are divisible, emotions are divisible. And Because objects are divisible. But the one who is the observer, the Sakshi, yat Sakshad, Aparokshad, Atma, that which directly aware of everything, that cannot be divided. You can't say the observer has got hands and feet. Observer is observing hands and feet. Observer himself doesn't have hands and feet. Observer observes the movement of the body. Observer himself doesn't move. Thus, the observer is indivisible, and that is the meaning of the Sanskrit word asamhata. Asamhata means indivisible. Matter is samhata. Bhashyakara's terminology, we have to see them, we have to understand them. Samhata. Samhata means aggregate, assemblage. Samhata. All collected mantras of the first part of Veda is called Samhita, because it's all collected, meaning huge collection of mantras. Collection does not mean historically from every generation. Don't jump to that conclusion. It means many mantras together. Togetherness. Like a tree is a collection of many things. Not from generation to generation they are collected. It's one tree. But then it's one tree with many details. Similarly, Veda is also, it's one section with many details, because many mantras pertaining to many devatas and so many things. That is why it is called Samhita. Why it is called Samhita? Because assemblage. In that manner, matter is Samhata, because it is divisible. Whereas the observer, Asamhata, Asamhata. It is not made of many details. The observer is not a construct. Understand? It's not a construct. It's not, built by so many things. You build a building. It's a construct. Because you put so many things and construct. But the one who is aware of the waking and dream is not a construct. Neither it is a man's construct nor God's construct. It's not construct. Observer is not constructed by man. There is no man except the observer. Minus that observer, where is man? Just imagine. Where are you minus you as the conscious observer? Man is a label. Observer is the fact. That you are aware is a fact. Everything else is. Therefore, here he says, hey, this matter is samhata. Your Atma is asamhata. How can the asamhata be the source of samhata? This is the question he is raising. Hey Purvapakshi, this is what you said. Yadapi uktam, you said. What did you say? Pradhanasya anekatmakatvat. It is many things together. What is matter? Pradhan means many things. Many things means sattva-guna, rajo-guna, tamo-guna, meaning matter. Pradhanasya anekatmakatvat. Mirdadivat, like clay. Clay is also what? It's a construct. It has many details in it. Matter is samhata. Pradhanam also is samhata. Therefore, the inert matter, which is indivisible, which is samhata, can become the karanam for this matter, which is also samhata, similar, can be the source of the similar. Something can be a source of something which is similar to it. But if you are talking about Brahman, what is Brahman? Asamhata, meaning it's not made of many things. It is just one indivisible being. How can the observer, the conscious being, be the source of the samhata? How can the asamhata be the source of samhata? How can the formless be the source of the form? How can the time free can be the, how can the timeless, be the source of the time. Therefore, Brahman, it is more logical to say, it is more correct to say that the matter brings about matter rather than non-matter, meaning observer is the source of the matter. This is what you said, Purvapakshi Siddhanta is asking. Anekatmakatvat mridadivat karanatva upapattihi na asamhatasya brahmanaha. Brahman which is asamhata can't be the source of Jagat. Iti yadapi uktam tvaya, what was said by you, he Purvapakshi Pradhanvadi. Tat Pradhanasya ashabdatvenaiva pratyuktam. This stands refuted. Pratyuktam, it stands refuted. It stands answered. When I said before, Pradhanasya ashabdatvenaiva, there is no reference in the Shastram to Pradhana. Vedanta never refers to matter as the source of matter. Vedanta always refers to the Chetanam as the truth of matter, consciousness as the truth of matter, not matter as truth of matter. Subtle matter as the truth of gross matter, that's not what it says. Therefore, there is no reference to Pradhanam. Vedanta doesn't make a reference to Pradhanam as Jagat Karanam. As Jagat Karanam means Jagat ka Karan, the source. Vedanta doesn't make a reference to Pradhanam as Jagat ka. And because there is no mention of Pradhanam in Vedanta, therefore what is Pradhanam? Ashabdam. Ashabdam means unheard in the Shruti. Pradhanam as Jagat Karanam is not heard in the Shruti. What if it is not heard? We can conclude no. Because all our conclusions are based upon perception. And sense perception and sense perception based logic is not the pramanam in determining Jagat Karanam. Only Shabda is the pramanam because the pratyaksha, my senses do not have an idea of aparoksha anubhava. My senses can't tell me what is common to three states. What is common to waking dream and deep sleep state cannot be pointed out by the senses. What is common to the three states, both life and blackout, cannot be pointed out by the pratyaksha pramana, cannot be also pointed out by the logic based on pratyaksha pramana. Because whatever is the topic of the pratyaksha pramana itself, the objects, is the topic of anumana pramana. I can see the objects, I can infer the objects. Like when the bus is going, I see the bus. And it is coming behind, I don't see it, but I hear a horn, I infer it. What I see is the bus, what I infer is us. What I see is the fire, but sometimes I don't see the fire, I only see the smoke. I see the smoke, the result, and I infer the fire. That means what I see is fire, what I infer also is fire. Therefore, these topics of pratyaksha and anumana are the same. Now, if what is common to the three states is not the topic of, what is common to the three states is not the topic of pratyaksha pramana, therefore it is also not the topic of anumana pramana. Therefore, pratyaksha and anumana is not the pramana, and your Sankhya school is based on pratyaksha and anumana. And therefore, what is common to the three states in this matter only? Shabdam is the pramana, which talks to us about what is common, draws our attention to our own basic anubhavas. And therefore, if Shabdam is the pramana, then Shabdam itself doesn't mention, Shabdam the pramanam doesn't make a mention of Pradhanam as Jagat Karanam. And that it is not mentioned by Shabda Pramana itself is good enough to say that is not Jagat Karma, Jagat Karanam. Therefore, here Bhagavan says, hey, this Pradhanasya Ashabdatvenaiva. Ashabdatvena means what? That it is not mentioned in the Shruti. That the Pradhanam is not mentioned in the Shruti. Proves that Pradhanam is not Jagat Karanam. Now, what is not mentioned is also evident. What is mentioned is also evident. Not only it doesn't mention Pradhanam, but it positively mentions that Brahman is Jagat Karanam. Tadaikshata, tattejaha srijata. You see, he saw and he created. In this manner, the consciousness as the Jagat Karanam is mentioned in Shruti. Therefore, samhata logic doesn't work. See, you are using a logic that is a samhata, and this is samhata. Therefore, samhata can come only from samhata. This samhata must come from samhata is based on pratyaksha and anumana. Like the kid of a goat is also a goat. The calf of and the child, what is born of a cow is also a cow. This is called pratyaksha observation. Pratyaksha is similar because the effect must inherit the qualities of the cause. This is our pratyaksha observation. Now this pratyaksha pramana and anumana pramana cannot clinch as to what is Jagat Karanam. What is Jagat Karanam means what is common to three states. What is common to life and blackout? What is common to life and blackout? Because life is knowledge, blackout also is knowledge. Blackout is not our belief. Death is not our belief. Understand? Death means blackout of the mind, not death of the observer. Death of the thought is a blackout, is not our belief, is knowledge. And that knowledge of life and blackout doesn't die. The knowledge of life and the blackout doesn't die. That knowledge is eternal. Atma is eternal. Thus, Bhashyakara concludes this Vakya here. That the Pradhanam is not mentioned in the Shruti itself is good enough to prove that Pradhanam is not Jagat Karanam, is not Jagat Karanam. In this manner, we continue it later. Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.